Plymouth, so this was our first year at Salem, but I like it there. Yeah.
All right, we will officially call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. and we'll start with roll call. I'm Sean Wilson. We'll start with my colleagues to my right.
Me or all the way to the right?
You.
Hi, I'm Judy Westroff, a member of the board. Thank you for coming tonight. We know that it's a beautiful evening and you can, that you could be anywhere, so we appreciate you coming.
Good evening. My name is Anupam Chugsidhu. Thanks for being here.
Hi, everyone. Lauren Christensen here. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Picard. Glad you all could be here, and welcome.
Patty McCoy, thanks for coming out on this beautiful evening.
And our two new co-chairs.
Josh Patterson, hello.
Great. All right, Dr. Merritt.
Good evening and welcome. I'm telling you, I have the best seat in the house because I'm looking across the beautiful Hoban Hornets representing this evening at the board meeting. Welcome. I'd like to begin by introducing my assistant, Miss Diane Robertson. We want to thank her for being here to capture our minutes every board meeting. I'd like the remaining members of the staff to introduce themselves to you, beginning with Mr. Brandon.
Thank you, Dr. Merritt. Good evening, everyone. Nick Brandon, Executive Director of Communications and Marketing, and welcome.
Good evening, Kurt Tiskowitz, Assistant Superintendent for Student Services.
Hi, I'm Debbie Piaz. I'm the Chief Finance and Operations Officer. Welcome.
Good evening, Beth Rail, Chief Academic and Innovation Officer. So good to see you.
Good evening, Shantae Langford, Chief Human Resource Officer. Welcome.
Good evening, Liz Vartanian Gibbs, Assistant Superintendent, Student and Family Engagement, and welcome, Hoban Hornets.
Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first agenda item is the adoption of agenda and approval of consent agenda, action item 230579. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the agenda, approve the consent agenda, action item number 23-05-79.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Dr. Merritt, can you walk us through?
Thank you, President Wilson. This evening, our consent agenda consists of human resources transactions since our last time together. Ms. Langford has been busy hiring, at the same time accepting leaves and resignations and retirement. So it's a busy time in HR. We also have the approval of minutes from our regular meeting on May the 9th, 2023, and our special meeting minutes, that's on May the 17th, 2023. Finally, we have the final reading of the following policies. Policy 1240, evaluation of the superintendent. Policy 2623, student assessment. Policy 6325, that's federal grants and funds. And that is it for this evening.
All right, any questions? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. All right, passes 6-0. Ms. Langford.
All right. Thank you, President Wilson. This evening we have 2 new hires and we have 3 retirements. So if the new hires are here, I'll just ask that you stand when I read your name. I have Tamia Briscoe. Welcome, Tamia. Tamia is going to be a counselor for us at Pioneer and Workman, and I believe you are finishing up your student teaching with us currently. So welcome, happy to have you.
Awesome.
Our other new hire is also a familiar face, Melissa Accardo. Are you here, Melissa? Hi, Melissa. Melissa is going to be the new P-CCS master scheduler. She is currently working as an administrative assistant to Assistant Principal Christopher Rue at Plymouth High School. So welcome, we're glad to have you in your new capacity. And then a few retirements this evening. We want to wish these individuals well. Shannon McNutt, she is drama, theater, and performance teacher at Canton. She's been with us since August 28th of 2000, and she's retiring effective the end of the school year. We have Melissa Malash, who is an elementary classroom teacher at Tonda. She's been with us since September 8th of 1993, and she also is retiring at the end of the school year. And then finally, we have Lawrence Price, who teaches history at Plymouth. He's been with us since August 27th of 2007 and is also retiring the end of the school year. So we just want to wish all three of them well in their next endeavors. And that completes the HR portion. If the two new hires wouldn't mind meeting me out in the hallway, I have something special for you.
All right. Hey, are the Hoban Hornets in the house? Okay, yeah, that's what I heard. All right, so next up is Celebrating Success. That's just making sure they're still here. With Member McCoyne.
All right. One of the best parts of the evening. All right, so Celebrating Success this evening will honor two wonderful Hoban Elementary teachers who go the extra mile to serve Hoban students both inside and outside the classroom. Second grade teacher Laura O'Neill and third grade teacher Renee Ray have shown what it means to be an educator in our community. Not only do they plan engaging lessons and help students with their academic growth, they also help students in very personal ways that support social, emotional growth as well. Ms. O'Neill frequently spends lunch periods and specials assisting students who need extra support, both academically and emotionally. She works closely with her instructional coach, resource room, the building administration, and individual paras to ensure that her students are getting exactly what they need to be successful. Ms. Ray also goes above and beyond to support her students inside the classroom and offer resources to parents that will help the students continue to grow outside the classroom. Renee extended herself beyond the classroom for one student in particular this year who experienced a tough situation at home. She collected clothes, shoes, comfort items for the student in an effort to relieve some of that stress from their situation at home. At this time, I would like to invite the Hoban Elementary Principal, Lisa Johnston, to the podium.
Yes, I just want to honor these two wonderful Hoban teachers that we have. As Mrs. McCoyne shared, that they have been going above and beyond all school year with their students in their classroom and giving them what they need. Not only did they obviously work well with the students themselves, but families and our support staff that we have an amazing support here at Hoban School. So please give everybody a round of applause in helping me honor these lovely.
All right. So on behalf of the Board of Education, I present Laura O'Neill and Renee Ray with the Mary Beth Carroll Extra Miler Award for consistently going the extra mile to support the students and family of Hoban Elementary. Renee Ray. All right. Would either of you like to say a few words? Thank you. You've got your whole crew here. They're very excited about it. Well, congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you for all your hard work for our students in the district.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations again. On to C, Board Committee Reports in Action. First up is the President's Report. Just two quick items. One, we're still trying to find time to discuss the equity in athletics presentation. And then also, Member Sadoo has a request regarding the newsletter for all of the chairs.
Yes, you should have received an email late last night asking for information from the committee chairs, brief summary of what's been happening over the last 2 months, as well as a introduction or some brief comments from President Wilson. And lastly, all of the board members, when you attend some events, I would love to hear about them so we can include them in the newsletter.
Fantastic. All right, on to SPA. with members to do.
Back to me. We have not had a meeting since our last board meeting. However, our next meeting is coming up on Wednesday, June 7th at 5 p.m. in this room. Hope you can attend.
All right. And we'll move on to F&O. Member Kehoe is not here, so Vice President Christensen will fill in.
Sure, I'll provide a summary. So we met this last Thursday on the 18th. We had a packed agenda. We spoke about the Mill Street Property Resolution and Purchase Agreement, as well as the Tanger Property Resolution and Purchase Agreement. We had the ability to view the initial budget presentation for the 23-24 school year, which is on the agenda for this evening, as well as the technology bond bid package number T7, the second part of that, regarding PA systems, as well as the technology bid award for replacement of cameras at Liberty Middle School. And lastly, we reviewed the financial statements for April 30th, 2023. Our next meeting is on June 8th, and we're switching it up. Normally, we do meet here in the board office here, but we are moving that start time to 4:30 at Salem High School to accommodate Starkweather's graduation. So I think the location is still to be determined, but that will be posted.
In the superintendent's conference, or principal's conference room of Salem High School.
Perfect, thank you. We hope to see you there.
All right. SVA, and I'll turn it over to Josh and Saeed.
Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Patterson again, and I am an SVA co-chair as well as a freshman at Plymouth.
Hello, my name is Saeed Pawar, and I'm also an SVA co-chair as well as a sophomore at Canton.
So first up, why are we here? The school board and the district activities are driven by the P-CCS dynamic plan. This plan is a student-centered and student-focused initiative. The school board added SVA to lift student voice in P-CCS, and our mission is to be the direct link between students and the Board of Education and administration.
Student Voice in Action has not met since our last meeting, but the subcommittees have been hard at work. As a refresher, those include establishing meeting norms, creating our student agenda, establishing the request for service process and timeline regarding the consultant to aid in SVA, and establishing the co-chair process and associated timeline. All of these subcommittees are hard at work furthering our agenda. SVA has recently held elections to post 2 co-chairs to serve as representatives, and this decision was finalized at the last board meeting, allowing us to move forward with our planning and communication.
The subcommittee tasked with creating our student agenda has created a SVA forum to allow students to share their feelings about our P-CCS community. Use the QR code or bit.ly posted throughout the schools to give us your thoughts.
We also wanted to mention that today is National Library Workers Day, and we would like to take a second to acknowledge all the wonderful helpers in our district and community. And finally, our next Student Voice in Action meeting is June 12th at 6 p.m. in Canton, room 201. We would love to see you there.
That's all.
All right. Great job, guys. Thank you for that. Last is policy with Member McCoy, or not last, but next is policy with Member McCoy.
So we actually met tonight. We got through quite a bit of business. We were reviewing the use of tobacco by administrators, professional staff, support staff, students, and on school premises. So policy moves very slowly. And also eligibility of resident, non-resident students. That was just cleaning up some language. And then public attendance at school events. So we got through our entire agenda tonight. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 27th. We may be changing that because there are some policies that may need to be updated prior for work in the student handbook. So we will let you know about that. But generally speaking, our meetings are at 5:30. They are down the collaboration space. And everyone is welcome.
Thank you. And then also update on the mascot committee.
So I missed the last meeting because it was today, because I had a policy meeting. But Mr. Tiskovitz will let me know about any homework I have, and it's winding down pretty soon.
It is. Thank you. We met this evening. The committee looked at the data of the survey that was sent out to the community. That survey closes tonight at midnight, and so we looked at some of the data, some of the well, quite a few comments. There were close to 6,200 respondents to the survey, and then we began to form the recommendation that will be provided to Superintendent Merritt.
Thank you. All right, so speaking of Superintendent Merritt, we're on to administrative reports and the superintendent report.
All right, thank you so much. You know I never miss an opportunity to brag about our amazing students and staff, so please indulge me tonight as I thank our outstanding artistic students from around the district who participated by putting their work on display at the annual P-CCS Art Show on May the 13th. Mr. Brennan's out of here, so I think we had some pictures to share, but maybe we can find them. They had over 2,000 pieces of art that were featured, and this is including paintings, portraits, photography, sculptures, pottery, mixed media works. We had a panel of judges selected. They have 3 overall winners: Ashley Ma, Ken Pamploma, and Alina Mirzujuski. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Really, our students' work is just a true testament to the professionalism and the dedication of our amazing teachers as well, district-wide, that really provide the space for our students to have self-expression, creativity, and just a sense of community. So we're so thankful. I want to thank Kathy Williams as well and her team for their hard work in putting together this outstanding event. That really just showcases the talents of our students. If you didn't have a chance to get there, I know that there are pictures on the website as well. It was just absolutely phenomenal. I want to thank Vice President Christensen. I believe that she was a celebrity judge, and also Trustee Picard and Trustee McCoyne had an opportunity to visit the that day, so we appreciate your support as well. Also, I've been talking last couple of meetings about East and their outstanding young students. Math Counts has a strong showing at states. Our East Middle School Math Counts team finished in 2nd place at the state competition. I'm telling you, every time I show up, I have some announcement about a state champion or showing up in top 1, 2, or 3 because our kids are amazing. So our East 6th grade math club also finished in 3rd place in the Michigan Math League contest and walked away with another gold level award for Math Counts for their escape room project submission. So proud of our young people at East Middle School. Our Health Occupation Students of America, also known as HOSA, they win the state title and qualify for the national competition. So they took home several honors, including 2 first-place finishes at the recent HOSA State of Michigan competition. PCEP students took home first-place honors in creative problem solving and community awareness, along with top 10 finishes in 6 other categories. I'm saying they are rocking it. HOSA is an international student organization designed to empower future health professionals. So as we talk about just the status of shortages in healthcare, we are preparing our young people to fill in the gap, and I am looking forward to getting out of the way and allowing them to take over. I know that we will be in great hands. The club state championship wins qualifies them for a place at HOSA's national championship, so we'll all be rooting them on. Speaking of champions, our Gallimore students compete at robotics championships. 4 Gallimore robotics teams competed at the 2023 RoboFest World Championship in the junior game division. One of the school's teams, Beans, that's the name of the team, served as flag bearers in the opening ceremony after achieving, get this, the highest qualifying score out of all participating junior teams. Those are our kids right there showing up and doing their thing. 3 Gallimore robotics teams finished in the top 10, including one team name is Fabulous 4, who took home a trophy for 3rd place. So congratulations to our young students at Gallimore. And the accolades keep coming. Our Liberty Music program, they just were shining at Cedar Point at the Music Festival. This was on Friday, May the 12th. Liberty Middle School's 8th grade band and choir students performed at Cedar Point's Festival of Music. Both the band and the choir received the superior, you hear me? Superior rating for their performance, and that is the highest rating that the judge can assign for competing ensembles. So we want to congratulate them for that honor. And as I shift to, again, I'll say the environment that is to allow our students to soar, that's from our amazing teachers and our staff. We want to give a shout out, and I heard her name today as she is retiring, and celebrate Miss Michelle Mulash. She's of Tonda, kindergarten teacher, and she was named Teacher of the Month by Rep Paris. And this happened a couple of days ago, yesterday. All the days running together, all these celebrations. So Michigan State Representative Ranjiv Paris was also joined by myself and Tonda Principal Dave Turrell, and he brought Miss Mulash a special award naming the Teacher of the Month for our region. The representative selects a winner each month during the school year based on nominations from constituents. And as we know, Michelle just does such an amazing job every single day with our youngest learners. You see the pictures there. The kids were so super excited and so proud of their teacher, and they were just so eager to share their experiences in that small amount of time that we were there. So I absolutely applaud her, and that honor is just something that we're so proud of. So congratulations to her, and what a way to end a stellar career in PCCS, to be acknowledged and lifted up for the amazing work that she's doing on behalf of students. Just finally, I will end today by announcing the final Coffee with Monica that is taking place. This will take place on Tuesday, May the 30th. That's from 5:30 to 6:30. This time we're going in the evening to PARC Park, so that's the Plymouth Arts and Recreation Complex. And again, this is just an hour-long opportunity for two-way engagement. We want to hear from our community, things that are going well, maybe things that we could do differently, as we're always on the path to continuous improvement. So we want to make sure that we extend that invitation, and board members as well, if you're available, let's come for coffee on Tuesday, May the 30th, from 5:30 to 6:30. And that concludes my report this evening.
Thank you. Lots of good stuff. All right, on to finance and operation with Ms. P.S.
Good evening. Oh, ran past the clicker, thank you. It is budget season, so it's this very exciting time of year for me. So tonight we're going to go through not only the assumptions that we discussed in an earlier board meeting, but where we sit today as a result of our transformations meeting and other decisions that we've made. Thank you. So as always, we want to connect this work to the dynamic plan, and this is the alignment of resources, both in the of greatest need and also in alignment with dynamic plan objectives and strategic plans. And so as a result of that work and the sound financial planning that we're talking about this evening, that allows the district to have resources available in order to do and fund innovative practices. So here's our model of the budget presentations, and basically we review, align, adjust, and repeat, and then identify those needs, make sure we're all in alignment at all times, and then amend those budgets where we need to for that alignment, and then we look at and propose the subsequent year's budgets in addition, so we can review and adjust that as necessary. And as always, the board needs to adopt this budget by June 30. It would be nice if the state of Michigan had that same date, but they don't. And so there's some information I'll pass on today, but we're close to a budget document. We're going to go over the state budget outlook, some foundation allowance information, enrollment, budget assumptions, budget transformation results, and then what's included in the 23-24 budget. So again, this is the state budget in total, and so as you know, that green section of the pie is about 26%. That's the school aid fund portion at little over $19.6 billion. You take that pie and you look at all the different revenue sources that make up the school aid fund. And the largest section is a state sales tax. That's at 45%. The income tax is at 21%. And then I always get that question, doesn't the lottery fund schools? And yes, it does, but it's only 7% in the lottery transfer section and about 2% now in online gaming. The state of Michigan is still based on a goods economy, and so this is going to be an issue going forward because we don't have sales tax on services, just on goods. Here's our historical financial data for foundation allowance, and I like that upward mobility. We're going to assume a $458 per pupil increase, which is the governor's proposal. The House and the Senate, one has $100 less, one has $100 more, but we're staying the course at $9,608 per full-time equivalent student. And as always, that red line at the top, which is a result of the School Research Collaborative, which calculated the cost of a basic education in the state of Michigan with all the different rules and regulations we have at $10,421. We like the increase that we're hearing from the state of Michigan at this point. However, if we had received the $10,421 as suggested in the School Research Collaborative, that would be an additional $13 million for the district. Here's our calculations, and as you know, we hire a demographer, which is someone who is highly steeped in the movement of populations through an area. We look at that information as well as our historical information of enrollment. We have that little square there for the 2021 year. That was the year in the footnote that was a super blend, so that was a little bit different in how they calculated the membership state aid. We have been reduced a little bit because we were graduating out about 1,400 students in 12th grade and bringing in about 1,100 students in kindergarten. So we have about a 300 student deficit to make up. That's based on birth rates, primarily in the state of Michigan, now that the ins and the outs of the state are about equal. What we've done this year is we've increased our schools of choice seats from 250 to 500 seats, and so that has really helped that number tremendously. Here's our Stanford Associates, that's our demographer. This is his information, and this is also roll forward. So we took the fall count of 2022 and moved it forward. What that means is first grade went to second grade to third grade, et cetera, through the entire system. And then we look at the ins and the outs, and this year we're a little bit more optimistic. In that we selected 16,200 as our estimate of enrollment. Enrollment is not head count, which Mr. Tiskowitz reports, but FTE, full-time equivalents. That's a difference in how you're funded in the state of Michigan. The Stanford, most likely the high, the low, and the average are listed there. And Stanford doesn't always include all the different people or pupils we have in our count, such as IPSEP, and shared time, et cetera. So here's our revenue assumptions, which we discussed at an earlier board meeting. With enrollment, as I discussed, we're at 16,200. Our foundation allowance is the governor's proposal at $458 per pupil, and the enhancement millage increase at 2%. What's there in the expenditure side is the staffing based on standard class size guidelines that we have adopted. Our contracts, for the most part, are negotiated in collective bargaining agreements. There's one agreement out which has a TA on it, which will come before the board shortly. MIPSERS is the Michigan Public Schools Employee Retirement System. That's a mandatory contribution that we have to give to the state of Michigan at 28.23%. The hard cap is legislation that was passed under Public Act 152, which limits the amount of health care insurance we can pay for, or health care expenses we can pay for as a Michigan public school. Custodial and transportation contracts are set, and we'll vote on one later this evening. Talk about that in a little bit. Utilities, we did see an increase in utility usage for electricity, so we've increased our budget for that. And then we usually have typically between 15 or so retirements, and I believe Ms. Langford is up over that number already. So we look to our investment lens for 23-24, the safety and security of students, the addressing the learning loss, the social and emotional needs and supports, as well as the 4 strategic themes the Board of Education established. Also, we have our 5 strategic goals as listed in the dynamic plan in order to guide our work. Finally, we have some ESSER 3 11T funds of about $10 million, $5 million in the current year I'm standing in, as well as the prospective year, 23-24, and that is for specified identified student demographic groups. We take all that into account, and we came to our leadership group and we talked about what priorities that we find a need and that we need to address. And so here is the result of our budget transformations process. And I'll go through these a little bit in more detail. The elementary education folks had 6 additional student support coordinators. 2 of them are brand new positions and 4 were change in positions. So people are in, or positions are in the budget, but they just had a change in their title. High school education had 1 alternative suspension program teacher. Middle school brought forward a Religious Diversities Journeys program to be funded through the Teaching and Learning Department. District-wide, we had a TA in the contract for a bus and lunch duty. It's at $22 per hour, but during COVID, in the last couple years, we've raised that to $30 an hour, and the group wanted to maintain that $30 per hour fee structure. Student and family engagement brought forward 2 nurses and 7 healthcare techs. So that would be 7 staying from the original 15 positions. The special education department had 1 administrative assistant for that special ed early on, IDEA, and elementary special education programs. That's 1 person for all 3 of those jobs and responsibilities. That would be funded by the categorical state aid we received this year for special education. Operations department had 2 cleaning assistants from the current 5. So they would go down to 2 cleaning assistants, 1 at Ellen Elementary School and 1 at Allen Early Learning Center, and 1 at Starkweather Academy. The chief academic officer brought forward a K-12 VAP coordinator, and the student services department brought forward 1 P-CCS registrar position at district-wide. So the Religious Diversities Journeys program, the 1 administrative assistant for special ed, the 2 cleaning assistants, and the 1 registrar position are all going to be funded out of current budget. But the total investment for this package of budgeted items would be about $1.3 million. What that means is, at the end of the day, our general fund revenues would just be a slightly over $207 million. And our general fund expenditures would be approximately $209.8 million for a planned use of fund equity of $2.7 million, resulting in a fund equity of about 16.4%. We're still going through our federal ESSER 3 dollars, including 98C learning loss, to make sure all those adjustments are done for the people that we're going to use federal dollars, federal and state pass-through dollars in order to do that. Yes, last Friday was the consensus revenue estimating conference. There wasn't a significant change in the school aid fund projections for House, Senate, or the government, governor's people there, but there was a little bit of change for the general fund. General fund has a kicker that reduces income tax, and they finally did the calculation, so the difference between January and May's CREC was an impact to the general fund of the state of Michigan, not school aid fund. School aid fund is held harmless. So we're going to watch that closely, because if that happens, sometimes there's some interesting things that happen in supplemental bills. But for right now, this is where we're at. I know Member Kehoe is not here, but he wanted me to make sure everyone knew, including the people watching at home, that out of the 207 and the 209 that we have for revenues and expenditures, approximately $31 million is part of that 147C1 and 147C2. What that means is the state of Michigan funds us an amount of money that we have to calculate and put on our revenue section, so it inflates our revenue number. It also inflates our expenditure number because 2 days later we have to pay it back to the Office of Retirement Services. So instead of getting from the Department of Education or having the Department of Education pay it directly to the Office of Retirement Services, they fund it through local educational associations, the local school districts. So he wanted me to make sure that everybody knew that was a significant amount of money this year and unprecedented as far as volume. Our next steps are to continue to progress toward our public hearing at the next board meeting, and to do all those adjustments for the 11T and the 98C learning loss that the chief officer and I worked on today. Our suggestions for reviewing that budget, looking at all the spending programs, making sure they align with all our needs and move forward. And so our budget timeline is as follows. We'll have the F&O on June 8th. We'll have another board meeting to discuss the public hearing on June 13th. We'll then move forward to the final F&O on June 22nd and the final vote for the Board of Education to adopt this 23-24 budget on June 27th. I'll entertain any questions you might have at this time.
All right, we'll start to the right. Member Westra.
Just a really good comment. Can you go back to the slide that shows the enrollment?
Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed in the presentation is that we've averaged about 200 less per year as we've started kind of the birth rate decline. This year we're at 71 less, so progress.
Thanks to the Board of Education for awarding us additional seats for schools of choice. So,
Does that number include, that number includes the virtual school as well, right?
oh yes.
Okay.
Speaking of school of choice, do we have a final count on how many people applied for school of choice?
Give me just a minute and I'll
Sure.
tell you exactly. We have, we had 520 applications. We had 419 families accept, and we've enrolled 192 of them so far.
Okay. So out of the 419, the hope is that all of them accept, correct?
Well, they've all accepted. The
I mean,
hope is that they enroll.
Enroll, I'm sorry,
Yes.
the enrollment, okay.
So I would kind of add, because people have choice, when we had 250, I think the highest that we had, I want to say maybe 170.
60, somewhere around some.
We're
and
up, yeah, we're up over our
Yes.
highest ever
Yes.
number right now.
That's great.
That's great.
We have a number of those families that are gathering documentation, like they need immunization stuff, so we can't enroll them until they have all that information,
Excellent.
so.
Well, those are good numbers.
Yep.
I have a question. I'm not sure if anyone knows the answer to that. There was some discussion at the state level about having a transportation per pupil allocation. I want to say it was like $50-some. Has that moved at all?
No, ma'am.
Oh, done. Okay, that's it.
Just for the families at home, I'm looking at the slide about the actual investments or the proposed investments. Can you elaborate on what the VAPA coordinator position is?
I can take that one if you'd like. K-12 VAPA coordinator would be a curriculum coordinator that works at the district level, that oversees all of our visual and performance programs and helps support those. Twofold reason for this. One, we have over 10,000 young people who engage in VAPA programs annually. The scope and extent of that work. We talked about the art show. You know, Kathy Williams is a VAPA coordinator as well as a math coordinator, so it's a connected together role. We brought it forward because we felt, one, that the VAPA programs are extensive enough that we needed to have reinstate a former position that had been cut when budget cuts took place several years ago. So we felt it was important to bring forward and at least have the conversation about adding back the VAPA coordinator. Also with the understanding that math is our area of greatest need right now, post-pandemic. You're going to see it again in the data as we talk about mathematics. We're seeing some improvement, but math was hardest hit in the nation as well as locally during the pandemic. So we wanted to make sure also that we can strengthen that math program by looking at a full-time, uncoupling the math and VAPA because they're both such extensive needs right now. So
I'll add to that, as Ms. Friel shared, that was a previous position that we've had in our district that was reduced based on budget. And so each year as we go through our budget process, this is a position that continues to come, but it's always below the line. So we actually had that conversation. It comes through our staff. It comes through our family survey. We've had board conversation around it. And so we're really pleased that this year allowed us to actually bring that position back. As a district, we really do value the arts. And again, kind of to the earlier comments about, especially during a time of social, emotional, and mental health, it's just a really strong part of our program for our kids. And so to be able to have that coordinator back in our program is something we're all looking forward to.
Thank you for asking the question. I try not to do acronyms, and I missed that one, so thank you.
I have no questions.
So because Patrick's not here, I want to make sure people understand that the state, well, if we went to the Midwest, the collaborative, there would also be a multiplier for children who receive special services. So it would be more than the $13 million you talked about if we were fully funded to educate our students, but we're not. And then I would just like to say I'm really glad to see the VAPA coordinator coming back. I think that's a real value added, and it also will free up the time for the math, which is super important right now. And just a side note on the Religious Diversities Journeys program, a couple years ago they did it online during the pandemic, and those are housed on the local PBS station. And one of our students from one of our middle school students was featured in 2 of them. So if you'd like to see more about that, you could watch her.
Do either of our co-chairs have any questions?
No.
Nope, I don't either.
Actually, wait. Does CAO stand for Chief Academic Officer?
That's
Yes.
correct, Josh.
Thank you.
Great question. Great question. All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
This is a lot of work.
All right. So we have a couple first readings and some final readings. Consider approval of resolution for technology bond bid package T7 Part 2 PA system, and this is a first reading.
Hello. Mr. Saucer is here to discuss the first reading of this resolution.
And
Mr.
I'll
Saucer?
also, yep, and I'll invite Josh Meyer up here as well, if he's game for it. So T7, if you maybe recall from the last board meeting, we had 4 bid categories, and we were able to make a decision and recommendation to award in 3 of those 4 categories. And you're with a final reading tonight on those 3 of 4 categories. But we wanted to take more time to work out the PA, the category for paging. And so that's why we're here with a separate resolution. Again, it's part of T7. So the initial part of T7 was to address the PA needs and in the schools that are seeing construction, upcoming construction. So Isbister, Pioneer, Starkweather, Plymouth. And then we realized with an audit and some other things that we wanted to call out for an expanded scope. And I'll have Josh speak a little bit more to that need and why this resolution's before you tonight.
Good evening. So, as many of you know, we recently had an assessment done. We were doing internal assessments throughout the district. We recently had a third party come in and validate the internal assessments that we were doing. One of the biggest findings that we found in our internal assessments and through the third party assessment was that we were lacking mass notification procedures, capabilities, particularly with our PA systems within many of our buildings within the district. And so if you think about it, we've got 24 school buildings, 12 different PA systems across the district, some as old as 20, 30, 40 years old. Some, if you need to make a PA announcement in an emergency, you have to go to one physical location in a building to make that PA announcement. Some have the voice over IP capabilities, others. And so when I looked at it holistically from a security standpoint, we need to make some improvements there. We need to make sure, number one, that there's equity among all of our buildings, that they all have working, functioning PAs with the same capabilities for security procedures. We're in a day and age where there's automated technologies available. So, for example, currently when you put a school into lockdown, the security systems will initiate that lockdown, lock our buildings down, but a building administrator still has to make that PA announcement. with the new system, we have capabilities and interfaces. So what we're trying to do in the district is look at any new system, whether it's software, whether it's physical infrastructure, it interfaces with our security system that we currently have through Avigilon and Motorola. That's like the heart of our system. So the new PA system essentially will allow the district to have a standardized PA in every building. It'll interface with our Avigilon access controls and security systems. So now when a building goes into lockdown, those PA announcements are automatic. Those mass notifications are automatic. Working in conjunction with our ACC and ACM software and the emergency management software that I think is either already approved or being approved tonight. So that's critical in a lockdown situation. I don't want our administrators running around trying to figure out how to make a PA announcement. I want them focusing on getting our kids in lockdown, getting our students and staff safe, and getting themselves safe, and let the systems work behind the scene to do that. And so tonight, that's some of the capabilities that we're asking board approval for, so that we can standardize all of our PA systems across the district and make sure that they're interfacing with our security systems as we go forward. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Member McCoy, any questions?
I don't really have any questions, but thank you. I think it's important to have something that is current in all our buildings, so thank you so much for doing this.
Member Picard?
I'm good.
Vice President Christensen?
Yeah, we spoke about this at the last F&O meeting, and more, I guess this is more of a a question that I already know the answer to, but I would like us to touch on tonight is, we know that we had some PA system upgrades in our earlier bid packages as part of the bond. Can you speak to how those also tie into this greater PA system purchase?
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is, so we used bond funds to address initially 2 buildings, Farron and Smith, with one system, and then we began to standardize on another system. In fact, the system that we're actually recommending to award now, so we had the Bogan system in these 2 buildings, and then we're recommending to have the telecenter system set in. We already have that in 5 of our locations, and those are the most recent. So EL1 and EL2 are seeing this Rollin Telecenter system already in place. What we're proposing is also to have the further integrations that are available, so we can have a more interoperable structure throughout the district. And so we have 2 systems that we right now in the proposal are going to be considered for an upgrade as well in place, and we are exploring that as an option. But there are 5 current schools that have the system that we want to have, not all the integrations that we expect to have and will have if this goes through. I don't know if that addresses your wonder, or did I? Okay.
I think so.
And if I can add to that, so you're not seeing it tonight, but in the near future, so as the board knows, we received about $1.8 million in Section 97 funds through the State School Aid Act, if I'm saying that correctly. Those funds right now, we're evaluating the security priorities across the district, and one of those priorities is a shooter detection system. So it's a system within our buildings that detects gunshots. We want to make sure that that system, along with our PA system, along with our access control and security systems, are integrating. And my fear is, if we don't replace and do all of our buildings and standardize them with the same system, we're going to have a building or 2 out on an island of their own where some of these systems aren't going to properly integrate. So from a security standpoint and a continuity of operations standpoint, I want to make sure that all of our buildings have the same level of security protections that one building or the other would have.
And Member Christensen, I did consult with Bond Counsel as well as PFM, our financial advisors, and we were able to do this. So they're able to upgrade Smith and Farron in order to integrate with the rest of the comprehensive needs assessment we're looking at.
Great.
And we had been already on the path towards standardization. We recognized with so many disparate systems, it was very challenging. We have to call different companies depending on which building it was, and parts were becoming very challenging to find. And so we had been standardizing, but we recognized the need to maybe accelerate that based on the reviews that we've had.
I just would like to add to, in terms of timing of this, is this work that's going to, or anticipated to happen over summer or phased over a longer period?
So in our, the majority over the summer, we think at this point, after the post-bid conversations we had with the vendor, we should see about 75% of the buildings with new PAs by end of summer. We just can't get them all, but we will be working through the year to get the remainders.
Okay, thank you.
Secretary Sadhu.
Thank you. With regard to the inconsistencies that we currently have, can you give an example of what would happen today versus what you're hoping to happen once all of this is done?
So the best example that I can give you is at Salem High School, for example, when we went into lockdown December 9th, 2021, seems like forever ago, but that particular day, the principal was on the second floor of the high school, had to run all the way down to the first floor general office to make that PA announcement. Under today's circumstances, we notify that building that they need to go into lockdown. They hit a lockdown button. The lockdown button activates the building locks, makes a PA announcement, and through our emergency management software platform that we're asking for board approval, makes mass notifications automatically. We can make PA announcements not only from the head end unit, which is what most principals are accustomed to. It looks like this. It's a little microphone in the office. They make those PA announcements. We can make PA announcements now remotely from the Security Operations Center with the new system. We can make PA announcements from a voice over IP phone. We can make PA announcements from a walkie-talkie two-way radio. The other enhancement that we'll see at PSEP is right now, if we go into lockdown at Plymouth High School, we're typically locking down all three buildings. So all three buildings now, and without going into great detail because I don't want to give our playbook out, but all three buildings have systems of their own, okay? So I can lock down all three buildings at the same time simultaneously, but all three buildings have to make their individual PA announcements. With that new system, one PA announcement can be made. So you go into lockdown, that PA system announcement automatically takes place at all three buildings. And then with the emergency call boxes that we'll be bringing to the board here in the very near future, which is those call boxes you see on college campuses, those will be located throughout the PSEP campus. They'll have a speaker on the top of them that is also integrated into the PA system. So now you're also hearing those PA announcements outside in and around the walking paths. The other enhancement that Mark and I in the technology department, we walked every single building in the district and we looked at the areas that PA announcements were being made. And some of the critical areas like your cafeteria, your gymnasiums, your band rooms, historically are hard to hear PA announcements because of the noise levels, particularly during lunch and things like that. So those areas, we went and evaluated every building and we're adding strobe lights to those areas. So now when a PA announcement under the new system, when a PA announcement is made, that strobe light activates prior to the PA announcement being made to alert everybody that there's an announcement that's coming.
Wow. I applaud you for your thoroughness because I also think about kids who wear their earbuds and may not hear that, and also students that may be hearing impaired. So now you're seeing a visual cue of that. So that's really good to hear. With regard to the announcement, does that come from like the main headquarters, or does that, like what announcement is formulated? Does the principal give you that announcement and you send it out, or is it automated?
In terms of like our emergency PA announcements or any PA announcement?
Like you said, if all buildings go into a lockdown, then there's an announcement made.
So once we have the system in place, we'll work to standardize emergency notification announcements, if you will. So there will be a standard district-wide lockdown message that gets broadcast over the PA. The only thing that will change is it might say Liberty Middle School is going into lockdown. Okay. There will be a standardized announcement for severe weather, standardized announcement for building evacuation, et cetera. Those can happen, again, automated, or they can happen through the push of a button at the head end unit, wherever that's located, typically in the general office. Other announcements can be made from, a principal in the morning that wants to make a morning announcement. They can do that, from the same means that they can today. They'll just have added features. They'll be able to do it from a cell phone or a voice over IP phone, et cetera.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Member
Just kind of to pick up on that, one of the things you said is that the mass notification, like if Liberty School went into lockdown, there'd be a district-wide announcement. Would that go to all PAs or just like the offices?
No. So there's two pieces to it. So that when we think of mass notification, there's your in-building mass notification, which is your PA system, and then there's an external mass notification, which will be operated through our emergency management software platform. So we still have to formulate the procedures and make all the tweaks this summer as these software systems, and we're fortunate enough to have this money to do that as these start coming online. So in a typical scenario, again, without going into great detail, if there was a lockdown, your PA announcement is going to alert the building that that school is in lockdown and to follow lockdown procedures as we train on. Then what will happen is the emergency management software, which is running idle in the background, will start making mass notifications via text message, via email, and via the phone calls that we typically get. Those look very similar to like an Amber Alert. If you've ever gotten an Amber Alert, it basically takes over your phone and it says, this school is in lockdown. So we have to work out procedures for subscribing to that service. But for example, the way that it works is a student at PCEP could subscribe to that service. They would then get those alerts on their phone. So if the building goes into lockdown, their phone, the system sends out that message, it takes over, it alerts your phone, and then updates as the incident is taking place. We can send out updates through that same mass notification system.
That's fantastic. And I'm assuming that parents could subscribe to the notifications as well.
Yep, so that's all stuff.
Ongoing issue communication.
So that's all stuff procedurally that we'll work out with Dr. Merritt. And,
right, I understand, but
as we
this is awesome.
Bring this
Thank you.
to full, as we realize the full potential and bring it to fruition.
This is the direction to go. Thank you.
SVA co-chairs.
Just amazing work. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's for you guys.
No, very thorough, but also very sobering. So thank you for the update. All right, on to action item 230580. Consider approval of resolution for bid package T7 technology related to 2020 bond projects EL3, HS2, HS3, MS1, and visitor management. This is the final reading as a reminder. Are there any questions? Okay, is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we consider approval of a resolution for bid package number T-7, technology related to 2020 bond projects, EL3, HS2, HS3, MS1, and visitor management system. Final reading. Action item number 230580.
Is there a second?
Support.
All right, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. All right, motion passes 6-0. Also on to action item 230581, consider approval of resolution for a 3-year agreement with Durham School Services for pupil transportation services. This is a final reading as well. Any questions? All right, is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move we consider approval of a resolution for a 3-year agreement with Durham School Services for pupil transportation services. Final reading. Action item number 23-05-81.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no.
No.
Yes.
All right, motion passes 5-1. On to action item 230582, consider approval of resolution for local district vote on Wayne Risa budget. This is a first and final. Any questions? All right, is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we consider approval of a resolution for local district vote on Wayne Risa budget, first and final reading, action item number 230582.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed say no. All right, motion passes 6-0. All right, that wraps that up. On to citizens' comments, and we have Marie Everett.
Hello. I'm here as a parent, as an alumni of the district, and as a homeowner in the district. And my interest is wanting people to move here for this district because they want their kids in this school, as opposed to wanting to choose charter schools or choose to go somewhere else. And one of the main things that will help get us there, because a number of things that I've heard from a lot of people is they're looking for the STEM education. And they're also looking for the robotics programs. Now, I know we have plans to put in a facility at the high school to help support that, the STEM facility. I don't know how familiar all of you are. What I've seen so far is the size of that facility is not nearly big enough to do what we need to do. The size of the new athletic facility that's proposed to be right next door is the size we need for STEM. We are falling way behind in this. Other districts, Livonia, Heartland, Saline, and I can go on, already have this. They either already have it or they're opening it soon, and they are not doing what we are looking at doing and half doing it. So we need to take another look at that, and we need to look at putting the facilities in that we need. At the same time, I want to go to the budget and the VAPA coordinator. We need a STEM coordinator in the district. And this goes beyond robotics. This goes for all the STEM programs. Because parents want that now. And if the district isn't going to support it, they're going to be looking at going somewhere else. And those numbers are going to continue going down. If we want to move them in the other direction, we need to give people a reason to want to come here. And that's a big reason. I know the question is money to fund. I don't know if there's somebody to work on grant writing, but they need to look at grants for this because there's a lot of grants out there to help. Thank you.
Thank you. Victor Zhu. No, doesn't look like Victor's here. Going once, going twice. All right, no Victor Zhu. On to F, action item discussion. Action item 2305A3, consider approval of resolution designating local district Wayne Risa election representative, who is our very own Secretary Sadhu. This is the final reading. Are there any questions?
No, but thanks for doing this.
Yes, thank you for doing this. Let's make it official. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we consider approval of a resolution designating local districts Wayne Risa's election representative, final reading, action item number 23-05-83.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed say no. All right, motion passes 6-0. Congratulations.
Yay.
Congratulations. Thank you. All
I will
jokes aside,
represent
thank
us
you.
well.
Absolutely. All right, on to follow-up board questions.
We did not have any questions outstanding from the last meeting.
And there was no questions, follow-up questions posed for today either, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
May I say
Yes.
something? I just want to remind everybody, and this is maybe a plug for Mr. Brandon too, we have a survey that's open, right? Our panorama survey for
Yes.
all of our families. So I just wanted to make that shout out and a reminder, you should have seen some emails and text messages about it. We want to hear from you, students, parents, everyone. And please add to anything that I'm missing
Floor
here.
is
How
yours.
long is it open till? Where can we find this?
It's
I
on
want
the
to
front
add, thank
page.
you for mentioning it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we're trying our best to get as much participation as we can. If you go to the district homepage, which I'm doing right now, right at the front, you could see your voice being heard. If you click on that link, you will be able to go to, actually, I'll scroll down a little bit. There's a link to the survey itself, which we've also sent out via email and over text as well. And it will be open until Friday.
I'm sorry, did you say this Friday?
Yes. Here it is. So all the information is right. 2 different ways to reach it, up at the top and at the bottom. And it closes on Friday, May 26th.
Okay,
Thank you for mentioning it.
Yeah. If we can also potentially have a discussion about vetting of the results. So currently it's on our master calendar for, I get these dates wrong. What is the date? June 13th is
June
the meeting.
13th, yes.
We need a subcommittee meeting to vet the presentation. We have SPA, which is June 7th. And that's the only SPA meeting where we know we are vetting the 98B. That presentation is from June the 23rd, so that's a big meeting. So we had discussed the possibility of SVA, which would be a great place to vet this presentation. The SVA meeting, however, is currently scheduled for June 12th, which would not give a lot of time for feedback or input because that presentation is on the 13th. So wanting to come and just think about what does that look like? Is that potentially changing the date of SVA? Is that having a couple of meetings for SPA? So just kind of wanted to engage.
I
And
think
we
that
would
could
have
work.
a draft. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think that could work because Josh and Saeed brought up that the 12th is actually finals,
Oh, yeah.
right? Is that right?
That is correct.
Right. So
Yikes.
it seems like it could be beneficial to move it to the 5th. Is that? All right. Are you guys good with making that decision on the spot?
Yep.
All right. So we'll go ahead and move the SVA meeting to June 5th, and then this will be one of the, if not the featured topic for that evening.
Thank you
That's
so
great.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? With that, we will officially adjourn at 8:07 p.m. and we're going to adjourn to a closed session, attorney-client privilege matter. And I'm assuming we're going
to stay here.
We're going to stay here, and we're going to kick everybody out. Got you.
Don't tell me twice.